All right, what's up, gang? It's Brian here. We got a special guest, Will Fowler. We're in the penthouse, floor 52 here in Miami. Just moved in. It's about midnight. Had a long work day, but we're about to film a podcast here. Get to know Will Fowler. He's been on our sales team for 1.5 years. He went from $0 a month to now making $40,000, $50,000 a month. He's the number one producer on our sales team this year. So we're going to be interviewing him, getting inside of his mind and understand how he's making so much money, how he's had so much success in such a small period of time. So the first question that I have for you, Will, is tell the viewers a little bit about how old you are, where you're from, and how you got into life insurance sales and where we are today.
For sure. Well, to start off, I'm from South Carolina. I really moved down to Florida to play college football at the University of South Florida. I was a walk-on on the team there, and I was a kicker in high school, so just figured I'd ship it down over here to Florida. Love the weather, good vibes. Tampa's a cool spot. And so how I learned about the opportunity actually is pretty interesting. Is actually when I first moved to Tampa. I'm scrolling on Instagram one day. I see an ad from Spencer Coze. And then he's just like dripped out in some like Burberry outfit, like head to toe, posted up outside of his pool. I'm like, yo, like, what does this guy do? He looked young, so I swiped up. I'm like, yo, what do you do? He says, I sell life insurance. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, keep it real with me. Like, how much do you make, like, doing that? He said, well, my first year I made like $338,000. And so at that point I was like,
Sold.
I was sold. Yeah, exactly. I'm just sitting there. I'm like maybe 19, 20. He's like 2-3 years older than me. I'm like, bro, no way I can't do this. And so at that point I'm still playing football. So my time is really just football and school at that point. So really, I have no time to do life insurance. So I'm thinking, dang, like one day I'm going to be here. One day I'm going to be exactly where Spencer is. And then fast forward 3 years, I finally, at that point, I'm not playing football anymore, basically working a dead-end job, no growth opportunity. And so I'm just sitting there one day, just get pissed off at work. I'm like, this is never going to get me the lifestyle that I want to provide for my future family, for myself, the aspirations, all the worldly things that I want in life. And so basically I just hit up Spencer again. I was like, dude, are you guys still hiring? Quit my job basically the next day, got into training, started with you, and then ever since then, life's completely changed.
Fire. Yeah, so 1.5 years ago, that's when Will actually started with us. Spencer brought him into the business. He put him on my sales team to train him.
Yes, sir.
So I got to see him having not so many sales skills and not enough money in his bank account to where he wanted to be, not where he is now physically, mentally, spiritually. And I see him now making $40,000, $50,000 a month. My roommate in the penthouse here drives a M5 competition looking at a McLaren or a Lamborghini or something crazy like that. How old are you again? 22?
Yeah, turned 22, yeah.
22 years old, so living a lifestyle that many would only dream of. So one thing that you mentioned is that you used to play college football.
Right.
I also used to play college football. In my opinion, athletes, specifically former athletes, are the best people in our business. I have some opinions on why I think that's the case, but why do you think that, or if you don't think that, that's okay too, but what did you learn playing football that kind of translates into sales and business and being successful like you are today?
Absolutely. Well, I think it all starts when I first started playing football, which was, started kicking in freshman year of high school. And so at the very beginning, I was just a soccer player, right? No form, no nothing. Wasn't really that good at kicking. I just had a fast leg, strong leg, so I can just kick it far. But over time, with a trainer, which really relates to life insurance business, just like this, he teaches you exactly how to kick the ball, where to kick the ball, how fast to kick the ball, how hard to kick the ball, and what you're thinking when you're kicking the ball. And so all that stuff relates into life insurance because whenever you start first off, just like I had zero sales skills, basically zero confidence in what I was saying, was reading a script word for word. Maybe I wasn't sounding good doing it, but I was doing it. But this translates right back to football, and that basically what I'm trying to get at this point is saying whenever you first start out something, you're probably not going to be the best at it. You might not even be good at it. You might be terrible at it, like I was. But the harder you work in the very beginning, the more coachable you are to the people that are going to be influential into your progress as an athlete or a business person, salesperson, team leader, person overall, is going to directly translate to how good you are and how quick you are going to get good at whatever it is. Number one thing, discipline, for sure. In college, that was definitely up to a huge new level rather than football in high school. I mean, we had the summer workouts. Yeah, maybe you had to be there, but you could have called off if you were feeling sick, or maybe you had a doctor's visit or a football camp or whatever. But the thing is that the harder you work in the beginning, like I had said before, and the more committed you are, more disciplined you are, the quicker you are going to get good and turn eventually into great, which is what we're looking at here in this life insurance business, is going from average to good to great to eventually the best is what you want to do. Best thing for former athletes, I could say, is use that same mindset that you had in football of wanting to be the best, being competitive. Translate that into an opportunity which you can make as much money as you want. You can work the hours you want. If you're competitive, you want to work the most. I definitely would say I work a lot to afford the lifestyle that I want. Third thing I would say is definitely have a big faith-based mindset, which one play you might have a down play. The next play, you can't let that last play affect your next play. So say that your offensive lineman, whatever, maybe let your quarterback get sacked, maybe he beat you on the edge, whatever. Second play, you can't be having that in your mindset. You can't be having that, thinking about that, because the next play, he might come up on you, and then you pancake the lineman, running back goes right up the hole, and it's a touchdown. You definitely can't let one thing affect the next thing, which definitely translate into both.
Facts. Two main things that I always tell people that it takes to be successful in sales, which also relate to what Will was saying to be successful in football, is number one, you have to be coachable. So you have to find somebody that has what you want and be 100% coachable to what they say, because you can be where anybody in the world is. All that you have to do is know what they know and do what they do. Most people have pride and ego, so they don't want to be coachable and listen to a mentor. They want to do it their own way. However, their own way is what kept them broke, not happy in their old life that they should be trying to get out of if they didn't have an ego. Exactly. So that's number one, is being coachable and dropping your ego, which I think Will is probably one of the most coachable people that I've ever met. So it's no surprise that he's very successful in sales. Number two is work ethic. And that goes along with doing what they do and doing what they did. So if you want what Will has, or if you want what I have, you have to do what we did, which is work long hours, sacrifice, and really cut off a lot of things that maybe we didn't want to cut off to get to where we are now, which ties into the other thing that he said as well, is discipline. So the definition of discipline from Nick Saban is there's something over here that I want to do. Can I keep myself from doing it? And there's something over here that I don't want to do. Can I get myself to do it? And if you can just train your mind to always get yourself to do the things that you don't want to do, but you know you have to do to get where you want to go, that's what makes people successful, as well as finding somebody that has what you want and following the play call and the blueprint step by step. So that's fire. We're always looking for athletes. They're hard workers, they're disciplined, and they're coachable. And one other thing that Will said as well is that athletes tend to be very competitive. One thing that I love about sales is that there's a leaderboard every single week. It's a competition. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie, and winners keep score. We keep score in sales. We have a leaderboard every single week, and the top dogs are always the people that get irritated when they're not number one. That's another trait that I see in Will as well. He probably got that from his football background, as being very, very competitive and wanting to beat other people. most jobs, a 9-to-5 career, you can't really beat other people. You're all equal on an equal level playing field, and you're kind of going through the motions. What I love about sales is that you can compete with another man one-on-one. If he's taking a long lunch break, you can skip that lunch break. If he's getting off of work at 8:30, you can stay till 9:30, and you can consistently compete with people, and it makes it a lot more fun, and it drives you to wake up every single day because you actually have a goal that you're fighting for, versus most careers, you don't really have that goal and that purpose that you wake up with every single day. So, like I said, I was with Will from the start. A lot of people see the lifestyle now, posting $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 paychecks. I think in January he made $58,000 or so. He should make no less than $500,000 this year. That would be a letdown to make any less than that for sure. I'm sure he can agree.
Yeah.
But the same way it goes for me, people see the lifestyle that I live as well, living in a penthouse, driving a Lamborghini, and people think that it was always that way if you didn't really know us 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. So one thing they say about sales is that in sales, you start off being underpaid, and then eventually you're overpaid for the work that you do. What I mean by that is you might be working extremely hard, the hardest that you've ever worked, but you're getting paid the least that you've gotten paid throughout the course of your sales career. Flash forward a year or two later, you may not be working as much or as hard, and now you're getting paid 10 times what you used to be getting paid for the same amount or less work. So we'll talk about a little bit about your story of your first few months, the work ethic, what it took, the mindset, the hours, the sacrifice, what results you were getting then. Because I always tell people the business is behind. It's 3 to 6 months behind. The work that you put in today is not going to show up tomorrow. It's going to show up 3 to 6 months down the road. That's why it takes faith and vision when you're working every single day, knowing that the results might not show up today, but if I just keep persisting, eventually I'm going to reap a harvest. So talk about your first few months and then, the work ethic it took and everything like that.
Absolutely. I could probably go on for an hour about this. I'm sure you remember when we first started. I'm pretty sure I just asked you one day in the office when we used to go back to the office before we did everything just on the computer on our little virtual office. I said, Brian, you have what I have, so I want to do what you do and know what you know. Exactly just like what you just said. So I asked you, I want to make the most money I possibly can in this opportunity. I love working hard. I'm very coachable. I'm disciplined. I'll do whatever it takes. What do I need to do to get to a point where I have everything that I want out of this opportunity? You said the best people that get good the quickest, make the most calls, are the hardest workers, the most attentive to the small things, and the most disciplined and coachable. And
Facts.
so that's exactly what I did. You told me that. That comes back exactly to what you just said. With a football background, your coach says do this, you just do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you have what they have, you know what they know, you don't get what they get. Brian said make the most calls. I said bet. I'm about to make the most calls. So I would say there was a point from maybe November to January, February, March, where I could guarantee you no one in the company outcalled me. No one in the company outworked me. But at the point of where I was skill set wise, I was probably nowhere near exactly where I am now. But like you had said, the business 3 to 6 months behind. So I started in October. I would say April is where everything really started picking up for me, which that's 6 months. And then April, I was the number one rookie agent in our entire agency. I did like 22,000 in sales, something like that. Which if I did 22,000 in a month now, I probably wouldn't be able to sleep because that's like nothing compared to what we do now, what we're able to do now. But to go back and answer your question directly, I would say that the most important thing is to realize that the work you're doing now is a direct correlation of what it's going to be 3 to 6 months from now. The harder you work now, the more coachable and disciplined you are now, is directly going to reflect in your income 3 to 6 months from now. And honestly, whenever we first started, it's nothing like it was now. We have new people coming in first month can make 10 grand. I made probably $1,000 my first 2 months. 10 grand, most people would kill for an opportunity to make 10 grand, period. Whether that's coming into an office, wearing a suit and tie, saying, yes, sir, when your boss tells you to do something. But we can do this here and make unlimited money, work the hours that we want to, in a hoodie or sweatpants or shorts and a polo like I'm wearing, and make basically as much money as you want. The only thing between you and the money that you want to make and the goals is going to be work ethic and all of the attributes which we've already just listed.
Facts. So the things that Will just said, if you want to be a top producer, it might not happen right away, but if you continue to do these things, eventually 3 to 6 months down the road, you will be a top producer, you will be a top leader. Make the most phone calls, which comes down to focused work ethic, not being distracted, and dialing your phone as many times as possible, getting as many repetitions as possible, talking to as many people as possible, because sales is a contact sport. You have to contact as many people as possible and get in front of as many people as possible to show your product and show what you have to offer. Number 2 is work the most hours. So be first one in, last one out, day after day with consistency, and work more focused hours than anybody else. That's going to lead to more results, more repetitions, more phone calls able to be made. Being the most coachable to the details. So most people are coachable in general, and they'll follow 90% of the play call, the recipe, 90% of the way. But I always say, if the recipe calls for all these ingredients and one of them is a cup of sugar, but you follow all the ingredients, but you want to use salt, you could do all the right things, but your cake's not going to taste like this person that makes a lot of money's cake tastes because you didn't follow it step by step because you didn't want to be 100% coachable.
Facts.
So like he said, the details, I always say the dollars are in the details. Big things are just small things added up day after day after day. Some things that come to mind for me is being on time, being early, having good energy, having good focus, having good body language, taking notes, sending notes to your leader, staying on till 9 p.m. Some people get off at 8:56. Those are the details, the inches that add up, and all the big thing is a bunch of small things combined. So I think the person that realizes that how you do one thing is how you do everything, and if anything matters, then everything matters, and makes a big deal out of the small things consistently day after day over time, that's going to be the person that you see that has big results. If you can be trusted with a little, you can be trusted with a lot. So if you want to be trusted to lead a huge sales team and make millions of dollars, well, let's see how you're trusted to get on at 9 o'clock a.m. when you're supposed to versus 9:02. It may not seem like a big deal, but if it's no big deal, you'll never run a big deal or you'll never make any big deals. That's what my mentor always told me. So make a big deal out of the small things consistently, where most people slack on them because it's easy to do and it's easy not to do.
Facts.
Fire. So one more thing, Will. What would be your tips to somebody that is having success? It's one thing to attain the success, but one thing about you is that a year ago, like you said, you were top rookie agent. A year later, you're top leader. You're still a top producer. You've been consistent over a long period of time. I've seen a lot of people come into the business and have a good month, a good week. Mm-hmm. They've got some success. They got some money in their pocket. They bought what they want to buy. Yep. And then what we say is fat cats don't eat. So a lot of people, they have some success. It's one thing to achieve it, but it's another thing to sustain it and maintain it. 100%. So talk about how you've been able to be consistent and grow month after month, year after year like you have.
Absolutely. I think that's a great question. And I think that's probably one of the best things you probably could have asked me, because if you just follow exactly what we just said, it's almost a near guarantee that you're going to get exactly what you want by when you want it, by following the small things. But being consistent is a huge thing in our business. A lot of times, like you had said, someone makes $30,000 a month. They can finally buy whatever car it is. Maybe they can move into a new city. They finally start eating steaks and all this stuff, and maybe they take their girl out on a dinner or whatever. They can always do this nice stuff, which is good. But it always comes down to your vision 100% of the time. So, like you had said, whenever we first started out, we weren't thinking, okay, damn, like $400 or $500 a day every single day. Like, this sucks. Maybe some people thought that, but in my head, I was thinking, okay, 3 to 6 months, maybe a year from now, I guarantee you I'm not going to be in my college bedroom with my drunk roommates screaming out in the living room. I'm going to be where I want to be, driving what I want to drive, eating what I want to eat, doing whatever I want, whenever I want to, because of this opportunity and the hard work I'm putting in right now. But with that being said, consistency. What is your vision? What does it cost to get there? And what is your budget?
Facts.
And by budget, I mean, how hard do you want to work? How focused do you want to be? And the third thing, which I think is the most important, is how faithful can you stay to your process? A lot of times people get very distracted. A lot of times people will, maybe they won't feel good, or they have low energy, or they'll come in to the day not ready to call or not ready to hop on with someone. You're only one call away from changing your life, and I really started to realize that, like my 6th month there in April when I was the top agent. Honestly,
Details.
Exactly, details. Just one day, whenever I first started, I just flipped a switch. Business 3 to 6 months behind. Now, April, I made probably $12K or something like that, which was probably the most I've ever made in my entire life. And then from that point on to now it's March, middle of March, I'm probably going to make, I couldn't even tell you how much, probably like 50, 60, 70,000 just this month from my personal sales, plus what the team's going to do. But staying consistent over a long period of time, say that you're okay with living in this beautiful place like we have now, then I would just have to work just like I was. But I don't want to be here for forever. Maybe I want to be in one of those houses there on Venetian Island, or maybe I want to drive a nicer car, or maybe I want to be able to fly private, or maybe I want to be able to go to Europe or take a vacation or do whatever I want to do. I can't just sit here and just idly be okay and complacent with what I am. Obviously, I'm very grateful, and God's definitely blessed us with a crazy opportunity and life. But what you have now versus what I want for myself and my future family in the future, I need to be working like this guy, not like the guy right here that's just got it. I don't have what I want. I'm grateful for what I have. But it's always a perpetual cycle of what's next.
Yep. Facts. The Bible says, with no vision, the people perish. And when the why is clear, the how is easy. What I mean by that is when you have a clear vision of exactly what you want. Like Will said, he was making phone calls, not because he loved making phone calls, but because his will to live in a nice place and drive a nice car was way stronger than the difficulty of making phone calls. So it made the decision a no-brainer to wake up and make as many phone calls as possible. One thing I always tell people as well is to keep that vision. And if you want to make less phone calls, like if you hate making phone calls, make more phone calls. If you hate training people, train more people. If you hate advertising and marketing yourself and recruiting people, then recruit more people, market yourself more, because at some point you can delegate everything and you can get to that actual vision that you have for yourself, which is time, money, freedom, and you have it all. So like I said earlier, if you want what they have, you got to know what they know and do what they do. So one thing that I can tell you guys about Will, I've been with him from the start. When he was brand new, he was making far more phone calls than anybody. He was working more hours than anybody, Saturdays, Sundays, all the way to 9 p.m. He had better energy and positivity and enthusiasm than anybody. And he was more coachable than anybody. One thing that I notice about all these things are these are things that you can control. A lot of people stress about things that they can't control.
Facts.
Leads, the way that a client reacts, people not picking up, circumstances that they cannot control, yet they're stressed over it. Those are things that you have to give to God and not stress about it.
Facts.
And put your life in God's hands and take your hands off the steering wheel and realize that it's not in your control, so why even worry about it? You should be hyper-focused on the things that you can control, which, like Will said, making the most phone calls, putting in the most hours, being the most coachable, and being very competitive in everything that he just explained. So if you want what Will has, you have to do these things, and you have to know what he knows. The good news is he's a top producer. He knows exactly how to be a top producer. He's moving into leadership. He's been a top leader the past few months. He can teach you exactly what he knows, and all you have to do is be coachable to what he knows and do what he does and do what he did when he was brand new, had no money, and had no sales skills. And that's all. I can teach you. He can teach you. The great news is we're hiring virtual sales reps every single week. We have links in our bios that lead you to an onboarding call. We'll get you licensed. We'll teach you how the commission works, how the promotion structure works, how the growth works, how you can get to where we are and far past it, because I know there's people out there that are just like me and Will, college athletes. You don't have to be, but I love athletes. They're disciplined, they're motivated, they're hungry, they're competitive. 100%. There's people out there that are like us, that we have that work ethic, but all we needed was somebody to reach out to us and say, you can take that work ethic where you work hard in football and you can translate it over to sales and actually make money versus I was playing Division III football. I had a great work ethic, but the results, the rewards weren't really there. Right. In sales, the rewards are penthouses, Lamborghinis, steak dinners, your dream life that used to be a dream for us. The reason it's not a dream anymore and it's reality is because we took action. Most people are scared. They don't want to take action. If nothing changes, then nothing changes. If you want to change your life, you have to take a direct action step and take a risk and do something that is uncomfortable, because uncomfortable things create growth. So if you're sick of being in a situation where you can't drive what you want, you don't live where you want, you can't eat what you want, and you're trapped financially, we're hiring sales reps every single week. Click the link in our bios. We'll get you on board, or we'll get you licensed. We'll train you up, and you can be exactly where we are, if not better. The best is yet to come. Let's go.
Let's go.
If you guys like the video, like, comment, and subscribe. You can find me on Instagram at Big Bra. You can find Will on Instagram at Will Fowler 10. Let's go.